Welcome to the Oh Hell No podcast, where Kay Nicole delivers a daily dose of inspiration by discussing passion, purpose, and struggle with people who are living their best life doing what they love. Here's Nicole.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. Today I have Amy King. She is owner and CEO of Pallet Shelter. Pallet Shelter is a company that provides high quality, cost effective, and portable shelter systems to meet the needs of their customers. So welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So the first thing is, tell us about your business and what led you to this opportunity.
Okay, yeah. So our business was started just a few years ago, and my husband and I actually own a construction company as well. So we're already in the business of creating and producing housing. So this was just kind of an extension of that in terms of offering different opportunities and recognizing that, you know, housing, in order to better the human condition, needs to be provided across a spectrum, and different people have different needs based on where they're at in life. And so we obviously live in a city, Seattle, that has a pretty massive homeless crisis, and felt compelled to participate in some way in addressing that crisis. So we came up with the concept for the Pallet Shelter, and it was really driven by our population of employees and people that we work with. All of our companies, we seek to employ people transitioning out of the criminal justice system, out of addiction recovery, and out of homelessness. So the concept for the design was really fueled by input from people who already work for us.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I never knew that there was like a massive homeless crisis in Seattle. You see?
There is. Yeah, we're actually third. I believe we're third in the country right now for homeless people per capita. So I think it's San Francisco and New York and us, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the most difficult aspect of starting a business like this?
Oh gosh, there were so many. Starting a business has so many challenges all by itself, just in terms of, setting up all of the basic processes and procedures and standard operating, all that kind of stuff. So, aside from that, we were also running two other businesses, so that was a little bit difficult. But I think the hardest part with this was we were coming up with a new concept, a new product that had never really been done before. I mean, there's wooden tiny homes and there's tents and things like that, but we were coming out with, or trying to, be innovative and come up with something that didn't exist. And so there was a lot of challenges in the prototype process and design process in terms of identifying proper materials and ensuring, inhabitant safety and all of that. But we're past all that now, and it's been a long road, but it was definitely a good learning curve for us.
So what would you say kept you motivated during the ups and downs of, just starting the business?
Yeah, our business obviously had a real distinct purpose for us in terms of wanting to create a solution that works for homeless people in our city, but we also were motivated by disaster response. And so, at the time when we came up with the concept, it was actually, shortly after a big storm season in our country, and seeing the people that were suffering and displaced. And so we were really motivated to create the product and to move fast in an effort to relieve, people's suffering. So that was not helpful for them, but helpful for us to be offering, a product to market at a time when it was really, really needed. And that way we were able to utilize input and feedback from communities in need to really feed the process of developing the product.
Okay. So if you think back to past work experiences, is there anything that you feel like aligns with where you are today and what you're doing?
In terms of my personal experience, you mean?
Yeah, like before you and your husband started this construction business, I don't know what you were doing. So Is there anything that you could say, when you look back, you're like, wow, I could connect these dots and see how I'm here?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I was in my previous life, I was a healthcare administrator. So I worked in hospitals, and I've done both, public health at Harborview Medical Center, which is a big public hospital here. And I've run private practices as well. And, healthcare has a real interesting atmosphere for business. So you're getting all the normal business practice procedures in terms of, finance and processes and regulation and all that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of good experience there. But I also got the humanitarian and human services side, being in healthcare. So wanting to help people and learning a lot about holistic care and how you help people move forward in life, and that it's not just a one-track process. People they're complex. They have a complex set of needs and issues, and we have to address all of them in order for the person to succeed and move forward in life. And so I think my experience in healthcare really helped me to contribute in a meaningful way to this business. In addition to that, my husband, he has been a contractor his whole career, and he was a contractor pre-recession. And so I think that really helped kind of fuel and feed our business processes for all of our businesses as well. We learned a lot of really important lessons during that time that helped us to kind of structure the businesses in such a way that they could navigate any turn in the market. So.
Wow, that's incredible. What do you love the most about what you do every day? If there's one thing.
Yeah. I love the people that we get to work with, and I love the social enterprise aspect of our businesses. I love that we're doing something that we love and we're making money doing it, but where that money allows us to help more people, which is really the point of social enterprise. And we're giving back to our community in some way. I think there's a lot of different types of businesses out there, and they're all doing, hopefully doing good things in their community in one way or another. But ours really has a direct impact on our community in the sense that we're helping people get jobs and get off the street and get into a different phase of their life. And those people are then creating housing supply, which is needed in our city because there's so many homeless people. So it's kind of a really nice story, and it's a nice cycle in terms of walking alongside people as they come up through and out of trauma and hard situations. And it's really an honor and a privilege to get to walk alongside them in that process.
Yeah, that must be so fulfilling to know that you're a part of that. That's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you talked about learning some lessons with your business. Can you share the hardest lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur and how you grew from it?
Yeah, I think, there's been a few. I think probably the hardest one for me personally is owning your own business is kind of like parenting a family in a lot of ways, especially when you have employees, and we have a lot. And for me, especially as a woman entrepreneur, I have that natural nurturing instinct, and I tend to want to nurture and help our employees. And a lot of them need that help, so that's a good thing, I think. But it's hard when in a normal employment situation and you're the business owner. It has a more significant impact on me when my employees leave and choose to move on. And so I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned is how to kind of walk that line and understand that tension between being an employer and being a supportive kind of friend or family member to someone that you care about. And so that's been definitely the hardest part for me personally. I think, if you were to ask my husband, the biggest challenge for him, he would say, finding in social enterprise, which is what we're in the business of doing, it's really hard to find that tension between being profitable and being a good steward in the community. And so, you want to do good things for the community, and it costs money to invest in people. And so, we've at the beginning lost a lot of our proceeds to the cause of what we do. But over time, that helped us to improve the processes and make it better so that we could make more money and be more profitable and, find that healthy business bottom line. But it took some time, and that was a bit challenging for us to understand the difference between a for-profit business, a social enterprise business, that kind of thing.
Okay. So your company is a second chance friendly company. Can you explain that term for people who might not know what that means?
Yeah, so that just basically means that we don't run background checks on people who apply for jobs here. And there's been some legislations passed and different policies and things around removing requirements for background checks. But, as an employer, whether you run a background check on someone or not, a formal one, there's always Google, right? And you can look people up and you can see kind of who they are and where they've been. For the most part, most people have some sort of online presence. And I think it's easy for us to have a human bias against, people who have a criminal background or whatever the case may be. And so we just made a conscious choice to say, we don't really care where you've been, we care where you're going. And so we intentionally choose to walk alongside people who come from a variety of backgrounds and are, very diverse in a number of ways. And we choose to just look forward with them instead of looking backwards.
And clearly you've been doing this for a while, so it hasn't been a negative experience for you. So I just want you to share why you continue to do that, because, some people are a little ignorant to giving people second chances, or, not being so concerned with where someone's been. So can you just share a little bit of your experience, positive versus negative?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say it's been all rainbows and unicorns from the beginning, right? So we've definitely had some challenges, and we've had some interesting individuals work for us who have been problematic, and we've had to deal with that. But I think that's true for any employer anywhere with any employee population. I mean, you're never going to have, a perfect set of employees. That just isn't the case. But, overall, our experience has been markedly positive. I mean, most people who come to work for us are really, really grateful for the opportunity, that they are grateful that no one asked them, and they didn't have to try to explain themselves about what happened in their past. And they tend to be really loyal employees. And in fact, over time, as we built those processes that I mentioned previously, we built the processes to really support our employees and train them in the skills that we needed them to have. What we found was our bottom line actually was improved by employing second chance individuals because of their loyalty, because, it's very costly to business owners to have employee turnover. A lot of employers, especially entrepreneurs and new business owners, don't really understand the cost of turnover. They think it doesn't matter when employees leave. And it does. If you dig deep and really look at your numbers, it's very costly for employees to leave. And a lot of times there's hidden costs that most business owners aren't aware of. So for us, I had that experience and learned a lot about that economic impact when I was working in healthcare. So it was important to me to set our employers up for success, set our employees up for success in terms of wanting to stay here, so we could conserve costs that way. And the fact that their second chance, required a little bit of extra input from us and extra support. But over time, we found that, they were very happy in their jobs. They were satisfied. They enjoyed working in our company, and they stayed, and it saved us money. But they're overall, just the most amazing people. And I think if I take off my business owner hat and put my, human hat on, just plain humanitarian hat, I'd tell you that they're no different than anybody else that you would have in your business. They're normal people who have made mistakes, and perhaps they didn't have the means to mitigate the risks of those mistakes like some other people would. And so as we've learned more about criminal justice and reentry and all of the things that impact the people who end up finding their way to us, we realize that really they were set up to fail from the beginning, whether it be through childhood trauma or poverty or racial inequity or gender inequity. And really, a lot of them are responding to things that weren't their fault. And as we hear more about their stories, we realize that, if I had been walking in their shoes, I might have done the same thing they did. Wow. And so I think it's an important designation to just say, as an employer, get to know the people who are coming to work for you and understand their stories before you disqualify them just for something simple like you have a criminal background or you are different than me in some way, right? And I think most people are pretty, I shouldn't say. I think a lot of employers are starting to become more interested in diversity from a number of factors, but, I think it needs to spread even further.
Yeah, and kudos for you for taking that type of energy and putting that into your business, and also wanting to set people up for success and not failure. Because sometimes I find that a lot of business owners, or even just managers, they don't think that deep into things. It's just all about getting the work done. And, they don't think about how building up your employees and giving them the proper tools can help them grow and be beneficial to your business. So kudos to you for being so smart.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the units. Can you tell us how many varieties you guys have, what comes in them, what the cost is like to purchase one?
Yeah, so we have three main products that we offer. So we have, and they're all based on size primarily. So we have a 64 square foot shelter product, 100 square foot, and a 400 square foot. They all come with a variety of options, which can be seen on our website if someone's interested in more detail. But we have, insulated products, we have uninsulated products. they all come with a electrical component as an add-on, so you can plug them into electricity from the exterior as needed. You can just run an extension cord to them. They're really intended for temporary sheltering, so they're meant to be, set up quickly. They go up in about 20 minutes, no tools required. Well, the 64 square foot goes up in 20 minutes. The 100 square foot takes about an hour, and then our 400 square foot is a bit longer. And they all have minimal tool requirements. So we manufacture the panels here in our shop in Everett, Washington, and they come to the customer flat packed and ready to set up. And they're really simple to put together. All the panels are very lightweight. They're made of lightweight materials, and they're all mold, mildew, and rot resistant, which is really important for the industries that we serve, especially in the homeless market and the disaster market. You might see a lot of moisture. You might see insects, rodents, bed bugs, things like that. None of those things are going to be able to infiltrate the unit and or nest anywhere. So that's an important factor to us for health and safety of the residents or habitants who are using the units. And then we made them really structurally sound, of course, for disaster response. So they can withstand up to 110 mile per hour winds, 25 pound per square foot snow load. So we tried to take into account that they're probably going to be put in pretty extreme conditions, and we wanted them to be cost effective for the customer. So they're reusable. You can use them over and over and over again. They have a 10-year life, and they're really, really durable. So, it's whatever our customers need, whether it be, based on size or if they need beds, they all come with, you can get add-in bunk beds that drop down at night for sleeping and then fold out of the way during the day to make more room in the unit. They have locking doors and openable windows, and it just feels more like a house than like a tent would, or the mass care sheltering that you see today for disaster and homeless, where people are just kind of all crammed into a room and they have no privacy and don't want to leave their stuff. So we were trying to address actual issues that were brought to our attention by people that we knew who had been homeless or survivors of disasters.
So for someone that's homeless, they probably can't afford a unit like this. So how would they go about getting something like this or being able to use it?
Yeah, great question. Usually our actual customer is a municipality or a nonprofit organization, a faith-based group, and then the end user is the homeless individual. But we have yet to have an actual homeless individual buy one from us. So we currently have 2 homeless encampments here in the state of Washington, one in Tacoma. The one in Tacoma was funded by the city. So the local jurisdiction there declared a state of emergency around homelessness and used their emergency response dollars to purchase our shelters as well as a number of other resources. And they created a homeless mitigation site, and it's been very successful. And then we have another encampment in Linwood, which is another kind of smaller city near Seattle. And that one, the zoning and all the requirements needed to put the encampment up were approved by the city, but the encampment itself is funded by a nonprofit organization in partnership with a church. So kind of totally different model, but exact same outcome, right? They're providing shelters and other resources, including food and restrooms and social services and things like that to the residents who are living in those encampments.
So let's say you wanted to purchase this to like put in your backyard for like a she shed or something like that.
Yeah, we get that a lot actually. Yeah,
yeah, that commercial sparked an idea.
Yep.
So, can you guys do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shelters can be used for anything. The nice thing is, I forgot to mention before, they have a built-in structural floor. So unlike a tent or some of these tiny homes that you see where you have to like pour a foundation or find a really level piece of ground, I mean, you have to have a relatively level place to put it, but you can level them with pier blocks. And since they have that structural floor, you can literally put them anywhere. So we do have people who have been interested in them for, backyard cottages, for hunting sheds, because you can throw it on the back of a regular like Ford pickup truck or any pickup truck and drive it down the street with it and then set it up, take it camping with you if you want, whatever. So yes, we have a lot of applications that people request, and they're pretty cost effective. And since they last so long, it's our 64 square foot unit as an example, with everything in it, the bunk beds and everything, and heat and AC and electricity, runs about $5,000. So, but that lasts 10 years.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with electricity and everything, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, it doesn't have a bathroom or a kitchen. We get that question a lot. Mm-hmm. They're just sleeping units and basic shelters, and there's a reason for that. We intended to really strip them down because of the markets that we're serving. We really wanted to create a temporary solution that encouraged forward momentum and growth. We don't want to provide too comfortable of a situation so that people don't want to move out. It's not intended to be permanent housing. And we want to make sure that's clear and understood, and that people are just using it as a stepping stone to the next thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So do you see any expansion on the company in terms of doing different things or, with this whole idea, or is it pretty much serving its purpose?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually just about a week ago launched our first seed round for capital. So we're looking for investors right now, and we're hoping to expand the company and grow our impact pretty dramatically. So that's, pretty new to us. We've been kind of just a small build to order company up until now. We've had a lot more interest from large cities across the country that are looking to provide kind of a turnkey, compassionate solution to address homelessness in their city. And then we've also had a great deal of interest on the disaster response side. In that industry, we need a lot more units at any given time. So they look for, anywhere from 100 to 5,000 at a time, and we just don't have that volume of inventory. So we're looking to build an inventory, expand our ability to respond more rapidly especially to disasters. So we're hoping with this seed round, we'll be able to raise the money we need to really get out there and put these out in the public a lot more.
You definitely will.
I hope so. Thank you.
We'll put that out there.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're doing your purpose work? And if so, what exactly do you think your purpose work is?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, it's funny, you asked about my previous jobs before, and I in all the work that I've done, I always knew that I wanted to help people. And healthcare allows you to help people, but, in a specific capacity. And in this case, we wanted to create a company that was both profitable and helped people. And we felt like it shouldn't be that hard to do that. And while the startup was difficult in its own right, we've gotten there now, and it feels really good to be making money and doing good in the community and providing, basic human needs for people. It's really lovely, and it's what we've always wanted to do. So yes, I feel like we're doing our purpose work for sure. And for me, the social impact component of working with people exiting the criminal justice system and exiting homelessness, giving them job opportunities and walking alongside them is like my dream come true. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything other than this for the rest of my life. And it's really it makes going to work fun and interesting and compelling. And certainly we have really hard days where we say, why are we doing this? But for the most part, it's just been a dream come true from the beginning.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So this is the Oh Hell No podcast. And the Oh Hell No podcast, Oh Hell No is about the bumps along the way, the moments where, like you said, oh hell no, why are we doing this? So I always ask my guests to share an oh hell no moment that has taught them something or has changed their perspective on something. And it could be a positive oh hell no moment or a negative one.
Okay. Yeah, we've had a lot of those. I would say, the most prominent ones for me that I've experienced have been oh hell no moments with society's response to us, more so than the business itself, although we've had some of those too. But I've actually had a lot of moments where I've had either political figures or people involved in Department of Corrections system, or even just neighbors to us, not just our businesses, but some of our services that we provide. And they often misunderstand the story behind or the reason why people end up involved with the criminal justice system or homelessness or addiction. And I get a lot of questions, I get a lot of requests, I get a lot of input, unsolicited input from people about why we shouldn't be doing this, or all the things that are wrong with our system. And the number one thing that I get is, we're a very peer-based model. So we bring people in from those communities and we teach them and train them up, and then we put them in leadership. And so it's not uncommon that we get feedback from other people in our industry or political people who say, well, you really shouldn't have people with a criminal background in leadership in your company. And those are usually moments where my staff will always say the mama bear in me comes out. And I'm not the type to kind of internalize that and say, gee, are they right? Or I'm more of the type to say, oh hell no. Like, no, that's not okay. That's not right. And I think you're wrong. And instead of me changing our company to fit what you think is right, I'm going to re-educate you and tell you there's absolutely no reason why that person should not be in leadership in my company. They're smart, they're capable, they're well-informed, they understand the industry, and just because they have a criminal background should not disqualify them from being in that role. So if you don't like that, then you don't have to do business with us. And we actually have had, when we first started doing this, we had quite a few people advise us and say, it's cool what you're doing, but excuse me, but I wouldn't publicize it. I wouldn't advertise that because it might limit your capability to sell your product or build houses for people or whatever. And initially I thought, well, gee, maybe that's true, because I was also uninformed. And the more I learned and the more I dug into the stories and the research, and I grew, closer to the people on our teams, I realized I'm not helping anybody by following that or ascribing to that point of view. Really what we need to do is stand up in that gap and say, no, you're wrong. And if you don't like it, don't do business with us. And so we did. And actually now we turn down jobs all the time. We have more business than we can take because thankfully we're in a fairly progressive city, but we have people that want to work with us because they appreciate that we're doing something for the community. And I think over time, hopefully we help to contribute to that shift in stigma and a better understanding of humanitarian need and what people need to move forward in life. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. My mom always told me that jail is made for anybody, and you never know what can happen in your life, and you end up in a situation where something just happens, and that's the place. And if you've been watching the news lately, it seems like a lot of people.
Right? There's a lot of people that never thought they'd see the inside of a jail that are sitting in there tonight.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
and at the end of the day, we're all the same, right? We're all human beings. We all have the same needs. And, I think we have to somehow realize that we're all the same. And regardless of where we've come from or how we ended up where we are, everybody does deserve and should receive an equal opportunity to start again. And that's all we want to see.
Absolutely. Well, Amy, it was a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed learning about you, your husband, and your business. I think you guys are amazing, and you're doing such amazing work. And I really hope that everything that you want comes to fruition. Please tell us where we can find out about these pallets, where people can go if they are interested in investing. Give us all that information.
Yeah, so our website, if people want to check out our products, our website is palletshelter.com. And if you're interested, we have a general number you can call for information as well. It's listed on the website there. And if people are interested in participating in our capital campaign raise, they can send me an email. It's Amy, AMY, at palletshelter.com. That's the best place for them to reach me.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show.